Hello, in this tutorial we'll begin to look at the types of things that you can insert into a page in Google Sites. So to do that, you'll go to the edit icon, place your cursor where you'd like to insert whatever it is you'd like to insert, and use the insert menu at the top. First thing you can insert is an image, and you can upload images directly, or you can use a web address or a URL. So to upload images directly, simply select the image, say open, and after a minute or two it'll be appear here. You can give it alt text, which is the appropriate thing to do. This is to allow visually impaired users more access to your site. If they're using a reader, it will have better context when it reads back this image to let them know what it is. So you can simply insert it that way. Once it's inserted, you have a few options such as aligning it center, left, or right. You can make it a smaller image, a medium image, a larger image, or 100% of the image that you uploaded. I'm going back now to the original, and there are several text wrapping options. So if I click this one, my text will come up next to it on the page. If I click this one, it will be a block element. It will hold its own space and push the text below it, or text can exist above it. I can also remove this. Okay, so I can click it here, or I can use remove over here. I can change the picture. So that's basic options when inserting an image. Your other option was to do it from a web address, and that would simply be, let's find an image. We'll say, let's just go with fall. And I'll take this one as nice. View the image so that we've got it on its own page by itself, and then copy that address. Paste that address into here. If it's correct, you're going to see a preview of the image. You're going to put in your alt text again, and it's now inserted in the page. Let's make it a little smaller. Maybe medium. There you go. Okay, so two ways to insert images into your page. Let me delete them so the page doesn't become cluttered. Okay. Next thing you can insert into the page is a hyperlink. I'm not going to go over that. We've done that before, and you can do it right through this menu option as well. Subpage listing. So pages that are nested under a particular page, you can create links to them. So let's go to, here we have site templates, and we can see that there are 4. So let me come to that site template page. I'll edit that one. And we will insert subpage listing. And you can change the text that appears. Let's see how that looks, and then you can decide later if you want to change it. Show subpages of the current page, or show them of the top level, or choose a page in particular to show. So you can build this any way you want. Most often you're going to do it by nesting pages under a page and then using the current page as your reference point. You can also say that I only want to show 1 level down or 2 level down, or all pages here. So if there are pages under file cabinet as well and I want those displayed, I am going to pick either 2 levels down or more, or all. Okay, if we leave this empty, it will use the available space of 100%. Otherwise, we can give it a width. So let's see how that looks. And we have 2 options for appearance here. So we'll see how they both look. Okay, when you first put it in, you don't see it in its final version, and there you go. So now it's showing you the subpages, announcements in the subpages, and things that are on the same level as that. So let's go back and edit again. Once we're back in edit mode, I can click on the gear and I can say, well, I'd like to see that with a width of 200 pixels and with this alternate design, and see what that looks like. Save it. Okay, not too much difference, especially considering that none of my verbiage is very long and probably is going to come near exceeding that 200 pixels anyway. Okay, I'll go back into edit mode and delete that. You can also insert a horizontal line. Now that's going to be probably better illustrated on a page that has some text. So you can see on this page I have a section 1, subsection 1.1, 1.2, and then a section 2. And if I wanted a visual break between the major sections, I could create some space for that, and I could insert a horizontal line. And you can see it's just a visual chunking tool. It's kind of an old part of HTML, these horizontal lines, but it just lets you break things apart on a page if you choose to use it. I deliberately skipped this table of contents option because it's a little more complicated, but let's talk about it now. Now your table of contents are going to be built on these headings. We talked about this previously. They're in HTML, there are headings 1 through 6. Google Sites is reserving 1 for this title and allowing you to use 2, 3, and 4. So I've highlighted section 1 and I'm going to give it the highest available heading. And I'm going to do the same thing for section 2 because those are my main sections. So I'll make them both, heading 2s. You see the formatting changes a little. But mostly the designation of being a heading is what's important here. Now this is a subsection of 1, so it is, I'm going to say a heading 3. And if there were subsections of this, I would make them heading 4s. So even with just the 3 levels, you do have quite a bit of latitude. You can get your organizational structure 3 levels deep, which is pretty significant. Now once those are done, that would allow me, if I chose, to insert a table of contents. I can set the width, I can show how many levels, I'm going to say all. And when I save that, it's going to look through my document and create a table of contents based on those headings. Now these become hyperlinks, so I could use that to jump right down to the top of section 2. And section 1 and 2 are laid out here, but what is all this stuff down here? Sample title. Well, if I want to find out, I can click on it. Oh, and it turns out I had all this stuff down at the bottom of the page from a previous tutorial. And if I wanted to change that, I could go in and edit. Oh yeah, look at all that just extra stuff way down on the page. And if I were to delete that, save the page, you can see that my table of contents will automatically update to reflect the changes. So a nice little feature. In some environments at least. It's not something typically used on a web page, but depending on how you're organizing materials or things you want to store here, it could be useful. Also in insert, you can insert recent posts. And here are some options we'll look at in a second when we revisit. But you can see this is just a summary I can put on another page of things that are coming from my announcements page where I'm posting information. Options I have when I'm inserting posts like that is which page. So if I had multiple announcements pages, I could pick which page I was showing from, and I can decide if I want to show a short snippet, a medium snippet, or a full post, so how much I want on there. Do I want to include a thumbnail of the first image in the post? Well, I hadn't included images actually, but if I did, you can get a little copy of that in there, which if you're using, I would do if I was using images. Number of posts to display, so right now it's 5, but there are only 3 in there, but I could make it 10, or I could make it 1, or the most recent, or whatever I wanted to do. I can put a intro post to these, so I can say these are my 5 most recent announcements, since that's what it's set to. I'm going to save that. It puts that, let's save it, see what it looks like. See, just puts more or less a header on it and allows you to organize it a little bit more. You can choose whether to display a border around recent announcements and to include a title. So those are just 2 other options you can play with that particular feature. Recently updated files. So these are going to come from file cabinets. I only have one right now, and I called it file cabinet. So let me just show the most recent, number 1. And let's take a look at this one without the border and without the title. So those are similar settings to the last one. And this is now just going to show a link and some information about the file. Also provide a link to the file cabinet itself, which is nice, because now I can see my other files when I'm there. If I wanted to change that and include the title in the border, see, just change the visual appearance and gives a little more context to the user, which is never a bad idea. Okay, also under Insert, I have Recent Lists items. So this comes from my list page, and you can see that I can say that all I really want to do is say give the owner the description and the goal date, and I'm going to show the top 3, and it gives me sorting options. So I can sort right here. I can sort it by my goal date, because that's most important to me, and then by my owner. And this is not important, so I'll just leave it this way. I'm going to leave those borders, etc. And there you go. So that second column of inserts is just giving us access to different templates to pull the most recent information from those templates. I can put in a text box. I can set a width on this. If I don't set any, it's going to just be 100% of the page. And in this box I can type things. I can create lists. I can do the normal things with text generally. So lists, I can do alignments, I can change the text, etc. on there. And let me just save that. Okay. I haven't found much use for that particular feature, but you may find a use for it. You may find something that you like to use it for. There's an HTML box, and basically what an HTML box does is it lets me write my own HTML code. So if you're very familiar with HTML, I guess this could be useful to you. I mean, I like to code in HTML, but I haven't found a great use for it in sites. I find there are easier ways to work around and do things. But if there's some feature that you know how to do in HTML that's not available, you can insert an HTML box, and this just allows you to include embedded HTML into the code. So here I'm going to put an H1 in, see if that'll even work, because Google doesn't allow me to do that through the normal means. I do actually get my H1 formatting there. So if you're great with HTML and there's something that Google Sites doesn't do for you and you want to give it a try, that's where you would do it. Okay, there are these more gadgets. We're going to skip over that. These are things that other people have programmed for the site. Some of them have since been added by Google itself, like inserting calendar. There's a much easier way to do it. And I find that a lot of these things have been abandoned, basically, and don't work too well. So this is not an area that I would spend a lot of time in. Okay, third column. These are all things specifically created by Google. And this is where a lot of the best features are. So there's an app script. Okay, if you write your own apps, that you could install them here. It's something beyond the scope of what we're going to be doing. But you can insert a Google Calendar right here. So I will pick this one for now. You get some options as to how tall it should be, width, what view you want it to open in, whether it be agenda, month, or week. I'll leave month. Time zone, and then various display options. Show tabs along the top so people can switch from week to month to agenda view. Show the calendar name, navigation buttons, show the current date, include a border, and include a title, which you can change. So if I do that and save the page, okay, you're going to see a Google Calendar embedded in there, which is a very nice option, frankly. Let me just delete it now to make some room. Delete a couple of these, actually. Okay. In addition, you can insert a chart from Google Sheets. You can insert photos from Google+. You can put a link to a Google group you're involved in. You can start a Google Hangout directly from here. I've never done that directly from sites. You can insert a map. Let's take a look at that one. So you can either create a map, or if you have already previously created and saved maps, you can choose them from here. So there's one, New Jersey's biggest city. Select some formatting choices. And when you save that, you've embedded your map right into your document. And it's nice. It's you can scroll in and out on it. A nice feature. Okay, you can insert a YouTube video, so you just need to have the URL. You can put that right in here. Let's get one quick. Okay, so there's one. We're going to come down to the share. And paste that in there. Save it. And there you go. So if you're used to using YouTube to create and distribute videos, this is a nice way to organize them. Alternate ways as well, but if you want it right in the Google site, it's easy to do. Okay, the other option you have here, I think I've looked at most of them, is Drive. If you use this Drive option, you can go directly and get a Google Doc, a drawing you've made, an entire folder, which is another way to organize things, because you can group things in a folder and then share the folder itself or display the folder itself, a form, an image you have stored there, a presentation, Google slide presentation, a spreadsheet, or a video. So anything basically you have stored in there you can get from Google Drive. One popular thing to do would be to get a form. So there's a form, and now instead of sending people the link to that form, it's embedded in my web page. And I can adjust this by maybe making the width a little wider, etc. Okay, so that should give you a good overview of the types of things that you can embed or insert into a page on Google Sites. A lot of different options, and a lot of good options, especially those products that you can make in other applications in Google. Those are particularly useful.